I'm not necessarily considered a Jags fan, but I think that I'm Jags friendly. Like we have an alliance.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like
yes.
it's
Absolutely.
like the WWE locker room of the 80s where you just assume that every good guy, every face was a friend, every heel liked each other. It's kind of that way. Like me and the Jags, we're in the same locker room. Like, okay, like if somebody's beating up on the Jags, I'm the guy who runs out from the back. Like, oh, it's
Right.
Adam Rank's music. He's breaking it up, like breaking up this fight, like fighting
Right.
off Titan fans or whatever, doing what I got to do. But let me ask you this. Is it dumb or smart to think that the Jacksonville Jaguars can make a run at the playoffs this season?
You and I might be the only people picking the Jags here to make a playoff run, but we have seen it before. So I will say smart.
Yeah,
Smart.
buddy.
It's a bit of a look. I get it. It's a bit of a long shot, and I understand. But I think it's smart to say the Jags legitimately have playoff aspirations coming into 2021. Look, you add Trevor Lawrence, you've got a whole new coaching staff there. It's gonna transform the culture of this team. Plus, they add Marvin Jones, and boy, you look at that wide receiving core, Adam Rank. Marvin Jones, DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault. That is a nasty trio of wide receivers, and I kind of sort of like how they're a little bit like a basketball team out there too. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Chark is 6'4", Jones is 6'2", Shenault is 6'1". Shenault, especially working out of the slot and getting those full-time reps, I think is going to be huge. I think he's going to take a big step forward, and Trevor Lawrence manning the signal caller position. I just feel like, man, this offense is ready to rip and run. James Robinson in the backfield, Adam Rank. Tell me where there is a weakness on the offensive side of the ball.
I think that the most mirroring example, and I know that we had talked about this before, and you're talking about when the Colts brought in Andrew Luck, which was a little bit of a different situation because the Colts were a playoff team. They lost Peyton Manning, Curtis Painter, and I don't know if Jim Sorgi was still on the team. But they all, they were very like turnkey. They were close. You knew they were going to be good the following year. But the team that I think mirrors them the most is what happened with the Los Angeles Chargers last year. The Chargers were very competitive in a lot of games. They could, and they won 4 in a row to finish the season. I think they finished with 7 wins, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 6, but 7 sounds about right. So it shows you the difference that a high-end quarterback can make. And if we're thinking that Trevor Lawrence can come in here and have a similar type of season to Justin Herbert, well, then it's absolutely the case that you could go out there and sneak into the playoffs. Jacksonville is a lot closer than people are giving them credit for. They should have been a little bit closer last year. But I think with Urban Meyer, and people are like, well, I don't know. I think that's a good coach. And I think that the lack of success that we've really seen out of some of these college coaches coming to the NFL, I think years ago stemmed from the fact that they weren't running pro-style offenses or they weren't working hard or whatever it is. And now this is a different situation. I think that Urban Meyer is going to be able to succeed on this level. I think it's a Pete Carroll type of thing, going way back to Jimmy Johnson. I think it's that kind of level. I think Urban Meyer is going to be good. I think the Jags are definitely an 8 or 9 win team. I think that's a pretty reasonable expectation.
And you mentioned the Colts, and I just, you don't give Peyton enough credit in that situation. You know what I'm saying? This is a team that had Peyton Manning and they were a perennial playoff team. They did such a poor job drafting, such a poor job in free agency that when Peyton Manning got injured, they were literally the worst team in the NFL. Literally the worst team in the NFL. 1-15 the year Peyton Manning got injured. And what happened the next year? They draft Andrew Luck and they win 11 games and then they make the playoffs. And you bring up Urban Meyer, Adam Rank. I think that's a great call. It's different than it was because so many coaches and so many NFL teams are employing college-style offenses and college concepts. You know what I mean? So the transition now, not only for the quarterback, for the coaches too, I think the transition, we saw it with Cliff Kingsbury, comes right out the gate and is pretty successful, right? So I think that for me, when I look at Urban Meyer coming into the situation, he's got a great quarterback, man. And I think you and I are both in agreement that Trevor Lawrence is probably the best quarterback prospect really since Andrew Luck.